What is going on, folks? It's Solo Man. We're back. I hope everybody out there is doing good, great, and all of that good stuff. So we are talking about. So today we're talking about spiritual warfare. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Anyway, so happy Monday out there, everybody out there, holding it down, getting off, or just flying in, or whatever it is you're doing, hanging out here in the world of, the internet and all that stuff. So today we're talking about spiritual warfare. We're gonna go straight up. We're gonna go straight into this thing. Because we all know spiritual warfare is real, man. It is so real. All the stuff that we have to deal with out here. And this was on my mind too. So if you have been, if you are someone, if you have been praying for something, manifesting for something, manifesting something, all of that, meditating on something, whatever that something is, and when God, your ancestors, bring it to you, I'm going to tell you, do not mess it up. So, again, if you're someone who's been praying for something, and, whatever, in the midnight hour, manifesting, however it is that you do that, and when those opportunity or that opportunity comes to you, do not, and everyone when you do this, do not mess it up. Because if you do, it is a long journey to the end of the line, and it's gonna take you a long time. It's gonna take a long time for it to come back around. That's what I'm saying. So if you have been manifesting something, and when it comes to you, one, let's say quite honestly, you keep it yourself as long as you can. Seriously, until it just blow up like that, and you can't just, you really have no choice but to, if it's about social media or whatever it is, because there's some, um, you know, there's some amazing stuff that's coming to some people out there. There's some just like life changing, amazing stuff that's coming to some, not all, but to some people out there. You know how it says the last shall be first and the first shall. You know how it says the last shall what is it? The last shall be first and the first shall be last. So cool. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, so getting back into spiritual warfare. Getting back into spiritual warfare and because I was thinking like if I knew then if I knew then what I know now, like just in a spiritual sense, if I was the same person back then that I am now, I would have cut off so many people out of my life. Like seriously, I would have been so much more wiser and all of that stuff. But here nor there because you know when it's interesting enough on when you're on your journey, the stuff that you have to go through individually, and you try not to be a knucklehead and go out here and do nothing crazy that's gonna bring even more craziness to your life. Y'all see the stories of these people online and all of the hell they gotta go through, each and every day and all of that good stuff. So don't be them. It's like this thing called spiritual warfare is real. People tell you to be a prayer warrior and go into your prayer closet and be surrounded by your angel guides and have your full armor on and all of and all of that good stuff. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up, folks, and don't forget to subscribe. So and all of that good stuff because this thing called spiritual warfare, we deal with it daily. It is every day. It is things like seen, there are things seen, and then there are things unseen. It's like so much so much we are protected from. If we could, if we could see, probably see through, whatever the stuff that we are protected from on a daily basis, we will probably be on our knees, like thanking God every day, like every second, like home, where you're not really going anywhere. Your phone isn't really blowing up like that. You're not hanging out in the clubs and all these crazy places at night, whatever, whatever. You know, what's going on, man? Hey, how are you? I was thinking about you earlier. Let me see.
I don't know why that
I don't know why that Quiet on the Street song is coming in my head, but um, when yeah, because when this new stuff comes in, y'all don't be out here blowing up the spot like for real. Do not be out here. When this new stuff comes in, when we start your new life, when you start your new life and all of that stuff like that, um, don't be out here like blowing up the spot, telling them. I know sometimes we uh hey, what's going on? I'm just subscriber. But not forget to the bumper. Yeah, sometimes when we have good or great news that comes in our lives, and you want to share it with people. At least sometimes you really want to, you really want to share it with people. Hey, how are you? You really want to share it with people, but everything is not for everybody. And what's coming what's coming next in your life, this is for you, man. This is all you. Yes, you're gonna have time to celebrate and enjoy it, before you have to go out here and really get busy and like really put work in, like really and truly. But what I'll say is, stay quiet, man. Stay stay quiet as long as you can, because not everybody's gonna be happy for what you have coming in. Not everybody. People aren't happy for what you have now. Seriously. That's why I don't tell people a lot of stuff, man. I really don't. I just let them sit there and guess in their little mind. Whatever it is you come up with, hey, have fun with that. But anyway, talking about spiritual warfare. So spiritual warfare is real. Talking about how you have to stay protected. Your mind has to be sharp. You know, um, street like I your we call it street smarts, your spiritual senses, all of that stuff. Even these days, these stuff, these things have to like these things should be um these things should be like at an all time high, like real and truly. Yeah, so these things should really and truly be like at an all time high with like really and truly like protecting yourself. Staying away from crazy people. Like, there are crazy people on YouTube that come in and I don't know, who these weirdos are. But anyway,
the important thing is
is staying within yourself, staying within your power, staying true to yourself. Staying true to yourself on your walk, on your journey, and all of that good stuff. That is
that is the
the
most
immense and the most important thing. Um, that you can do. That you can do for yourself. Of course we want to look out for people that's been there for us. But sure, it's not a big long list. You know what I'm saying? So, and moving forward, everybody's just not worth your time, man. Your value, if you pay attention, your value has
like your value has
skyrocketed. Like really and truly, like your value has skyrocketed. Like just within yourself, everything that you've been through, everything that you continue to conquer. Um,
right those weapons.
were formed, but they did not stop. Here you are, continuing to move, continuing to move, continuing on your journey. And even though, it may not seem like, uh, I don't know, it may not. You've accomplished a lot. I'll say this. You have accomplished a whole lot, and congratulations. Uh, uh, yeah, let me do that. And congratulations to you, on everything that you have, congratulations to you on everything that you, um,
And for the winner,
and for those who endured, because the Bible talks about long suffering, enduring, like going through trial after, like my life is trial after trial after trial after trial. It's almost like going into a courtroom and being on trial. It's the same thing, different things, or whatever, whatever. But you going back and back and back and back, but you keep winning, you keep winning, you keep winning, you keep winning.
even though you
You feel
feel,
like you're going through it, but it's like you are so much more immense, so much more powerful, in your walk and in your chosen journey, and how you show up. It's everybody can't do it like that. Everybody can't do it like that. It is just this
it is just this,
amazing thing how you are so coherent, how you are just this new, beautifully made,
individual.
wonderful creature.
You're standing on high.
You're standing on high. It's angels. I see angels. I see one was like this lightning kind of a sword, and I see one with fire. I see okay, cool. So I see the flames of I see the flames of destiny. I see the flame of I see the flame of destiny around. You know, really and truly, I do. I see this. I see this immaculate, and I see this immense flame of destiny around you, surrounding you, based on everything that you have been through. Like really and truly serious.
Um, and the
This
next chapter,
chapter is interesting because it's really and truly going to unfold right before your eyes. You deserve every bit. You deserve. It's called like crossing the finishing line. We were talking about spiritual warfare and how certain people don't want to see you happy and all that stuff. But screw them. Like for real, you deserve. You deserve
you deserve
everything
everything.
that you have. That you are blessed with now, that you're going to be blessed with, and that's in your life, and you know, you're
Man, it's like you're a
a
mere.
shadow of who you used to be. Because you are so much more greater now. You know, even though I don't know, maybe you're older and you've been on your journey for so long, and I don't want to say like you've given up, but it's like you're. It's almost on like you're. It's almost like you're on spiritual cruise control. It's like I don't know. It's like certain people they. It's like certain people have to go and grow through so much to get like only like 1% of what you have. People look at you like, wow, well, how do they get all of this, and how do they do this, and blah blah blah, and on and on and on.
You're the secret. You're the secret
Secret that people
people have been whispering about for like generations.
the one of one, you're the secret,
Uh, you're the chosen one. You're
you're that individual um that's gonna reign from up high. You're the one who's going to immaculate. Man, just people being in your presence, like you have no idea. Like just people, and I think it's like you have a sense. Like we have a sense of who we are. Like it's like what's happening in the spirit is going to transfer over into the natural. So you have a spiritual and a well. It's two things. It's two things you have. It's almost like crossing over at the same time. So you have a spiritual you have a spiritual and a wealth transfer. At the same time. And one lot people don't get. This comes with knowledge and wisdom and superseding. That thing things moving like super abundantly fast for you, and your life. Call this next season for you to take over. Like seriously, because you wherever you go and you go, it's almost like you're gonna be a one lady, one man army. Of course, you got your spiritual folks always around you, but it's like you're never alone. You were never ever alone. You've been watched over since you got there. Like seriously, it's like it's like angels stay and protect, and the angels will just stay and they don't go anywhere. They're always just
So, that
that's just naturally that's just what that is. Coming to a climactic. I don't want to say end, but you're coming to a climactic beginning. It's almost like you're gonna shift. How can I describe it? It's like things in your life overnight just shift. You wake up and it's almost like you wake up into a brand new life. It's like that song on the word. Can you feel a brand new day? So that's how that is. You shift. You're going from almost like one life. It's almost like one life is really good, but you get you get so much more. It's like you're going to gain so much more in the next part, in the next part of your life. And a lot of people are going to be stunned and shocked. Those little people that you grew up with and whatever. In their mind, you're still little whoever from whatever town you grew up in and all that stuff. But
but you,
always felt and knew something greater was coming. You always. That's why people always try to attack you. They say little slick, stupid stuff coming out of their mouths, and this and that. But you knew better. You knew better, and even though something inside of you, you just wanted to pick something up and knock the taste out. Like literally, just you wanted to just knock the taste out of it. But it's like you knew better. You knew that.
that
Um, I feel like, oh, my brother testified, yes. So you knew better. You knew that you had greater coming in your life, you knew that
if you just endured and
kept moving, even though it was hard. It was like I don't know, walking on quicksand. I don't know the stuff that you had to go through, the stuff that you had to endure. You who wasn't born with a silver spoon, you who wasn't born with a trust fund, or any of that stuff, and you just probably grew up around hardworking people. You maybe uh, you know, you grew
grew into
into
the
the
person.
person that you are now, and that's what that is. That's gonna be a tough pill for people to swallow, man. It's like
You who
our purpose to be up next. Well, no, not up next. You're up now. It's like go, go, go. So you were wondering. It's now. It's happening now. It's happening now. This is what people say, the big bonanza. This is now. This is the. I don't know. You're the train. You're the conductor. You're the uh, you're the leader of the orchestra. You know, hey, how are you, ma'am? You're the leader of the orchestra. You're the leader of the orchestra. You're one of the chosen. That's just how it is. That's just what it is. Um, they can they can tell no lies about secrets that they can't hear. Let me say that again. They can tell no uh, they can tell no lies about the secrets that they can't hear. You're one of those secrets. You're just I don't know. You're just
you're here.
you're here for a time like now. You're just you are who you are. You are who people are going to be drawn to, and whatever areas that you're going to be working in, and whatever corners of the world and all of that stuff like that.
And people are gonna.
People are gonna sit and wonder, like, man, you know what, man, I used to know such and such, but they can only sit in silence and quiet as as you reign supreme, as you are ordained, into moving into all of, into your ordained and moving into like, all of your greatness, like how you move, how you walk, how you elegantly glide across the floor, you know. They wish that they had what you had. They really do.
It's almost.
You know, you know, um, your life speaks of prophecy, and you know how powerful that is. Like really and truly, I don't think. I'm not talking about the life of a prophet, but your life is consumed around a prophecy. You're a child. What would they call it? Like you're a child of legend. You're from the stuff that like people hear in bedtime stories. You're like you're of that bloodline. You're of that lineage. Like you're from. People are gonna be like, oh man, people are gonna be like, oh, that's my cousin. You know how it was back in the day. Everybody was related to somebody famous. That's my cousin. And they're like, yeah, and never met the person a day in their life, like for real. But anyway, yeah, man. So yeah, but yeah, spiritual warfare is very much so real, man. It very, I personally, I stay in my own lane. I just keep it moving. Do my best not to invite craziness into my life. I really and truly do. I do my very best not to invite and invest in craziness and all of these folks out here. I said this in the beginning and I'm gonna say it again. If you have been praying for something, if you have been manifesting something, whatever, meditating on it, and when your ancestors and God, your angel guides, open up those floodgates for you, the person that's been crying, and I've been one of them. For real. When things shift, continue with that shift and move forward. Not looking back, because if you mess this up, I don't see how you can mess it up. But if you do, I'm telling you, it's a long walk to the end of that line, man. Whew, Lord, I don't even remotely know if that's going to happen again in your lifetime. It might just shift to the next person. But anyway, yeah, but that's pretty much what I wanted to come on here and talk about, man. Spiritual warfare is real. That's all we gotta stay prayed up, stay anointed, and keep our full armor on every day. Keep your folks around you all the time, and you know, like for real.
And that's the.
And that's the beautiful thing. That's how you win, and that's how you're gonna keep winning, and that's how you're gonna keep. That's how you're gonna keep growing. Like with well, not just with like in life, but within yourself. You're gonna meet like all of these. You're gonna meet like all of these beautiful and amazing people.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, you're gonna.
Meet all of these amazing, beautiful people.
So you're gonna be like.
Like you're gonna be one of the ones that people say, man, you are just what we are looking for. Like seriously, somebody said that you're someone who's not even gonna have to put out a resume. But people just gonna come and go. Like, yeah, come on, man, let's go. Come on, come sign this paperwork. Come on, we need it's time. Come on, sign this paperwork. I am hot. That's probably my cue to get up off this thing. But yeah, I just want to come jump on here and see see how y'all are doing and all of that good stuff, and you know, yeah, but growth, prosperity, amazing things, and that's just what that is, man. All on a big old Monday. But alright, y'all. You know, don't forget to subscribe, folks. If y'all seeing us now or later. But as always, folks, I'm out this piece.